Well, first of all, like a lot of people have joined here who might not even know who we are. So I just want to tell and what the procedure is going to be here. So first things first, if you have questions at any time, type them in the Q&A part, not the chat that everyone is saying hello in. Type them in the Q&A portion and we will get to there. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. If you move your mouse or a tablet, you touch it. If you on a phone, you got to hit the little three dots down at the bottom and you'll see the chat and the Q&A. So put questions in Q&A only. Now, who we are. Sorry, I'm just trying to share my screen. We are Retire in Panama Tours. And these are the products that we offer. And we help expats move to Panama. Our company has been doing that for 4 years with monthly tours. We do 7-day cross-country tours. We do 3-day Cherokee Highlands tours. And we do private, totally private, customizable tours and that we do ourselves. In fact, Oscar's not on this call tonight because he's with a private couple in the Asuero this week. So giving them a tour. And so that's kind of what we do. You can check it out on our website, retireinpanamatours.com. That's my sales pitch for the day. And Megan is Oscar's wife. And she is our operations director.
That's right. I used to do a lot of the tours with Oscar, and they're a ton of fun. Now we have this little guy, so he keeps me more behind the telephone and computer screen at home now. But I love to meet all the tour guests when they make it here to Panama.
Tell us a bit about yourself, Megan. You go first.
Yeah, so I'm from outside of Philadelphia originally. I went to Penn State University and graduated in international development, and then found myself in the Peace Corps here in Panama in 2018. And about a year into my service, I met Oscar, fell in love. These guys were just kicking off Retire in Panama tours officially as a small group touring company, although they'd worked in expat services for a long time here in Panama. And ended up staying here and marrying Oscar, having a family, and getting to work with this awesome company.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Rod Larrabee, and I am from, you can see the little dot here, Regina, Saskatchewan. Spent most of my adult life in Vancouver. And in 2012, late 2011, I moved to Panama. And I came here not knowing anyone, not knowing anything, and totally screwed things up. I was in trouble. I had the wrong advice. I had people after my money. It was one thing after another. It was almost a disaster until 3 months into it, I started asking for help. And one person, these people, everyone kept recommending Oscar Pena, Oscar Pena. At that time in Boquete, he was helping expats move to Panama. So he saved my butt. And within a few months, we were business partners. And we owned a local tour company in Boquete. We started private relocation tours. And it wasn't until about 2017 that we said, hey, we're going to move ahead and put a plan together and come out with our group relocation tours. And so that's what we've done. So because of my experience of not having things right when I moved here and almost losing a bunch of money, I really enjoy what I do. So we help expats move here and, and do it right and save themselves money doing it. So that is our job. Tonight's Q&A is specifically going to be about, ask your questions. I'm sorry, you US folks, we're going to save you to the end if you have a specific question about the US. But it's going to be about questions about for Canadians. And even if your question is just general, I'm going to kind of tell you after helping hundreds of people do this, how it could be different for a Canadian compared to a US or European or something. So that's what we're going to do. So there are a couple ways you can ask questions. As I mentioned before, you can put them in the Q&A. Several of you have emailed me your questions, but also if you want to come in live and say hi to us, I'm going to change my background. Sorry about that. I'm going to get rid of that for now because it does take up some memory. There we go. You can raise your hand. And how do you raise your hand? You'll see it. If you go down at the bottom of the chat, you'll see the happy face. Right beside it. Oh, did they move the raise their hand? I might. Oh, I don't think I have it on mine, Megan. Where's the raise your hand?
It's right at the bottom. Mine's in Spanish. It says levantar la mano.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's right down at the bottom, raise hand, and you'll go to the top, and then we'll bring you on the screen, and you can ask the question. Yeah, so people are raising their hand. Great, they found it. If you're on a phone, you got to again tap your screen, bring up the menu. It's probably under more. I keep forgetting. Okay, so, and what's going to happen when we raise your hand? We're going to bring you on. And one at a time, you can ask your questions. You're going to get a pop-up on your screen saying that you must share your like to turn on your microphone, and we appreciate if you share your cameras and we see who you all are. Hey, Bob.
There we are.
Hey there. Hey, Bob, and hey, how are you?
Good, you?
Great. Where are you guys from?
Oh, well, we met you. We were on one of your tours
Oh
about a
yeah,
year
okay.
ago.
Look who's there, Megan. Yeah.
How are you guys?
The crazy Canadian Bob.
Yeah. We're just
Yeah.
checking in and we're always accumulating more info as we get ready to take the plunge and get out of Dodge, so to speak.
Right on. So when do you think that's going to be?
Well, I'm still working. I'm looking at, I just started my pensions.
Uh-huh.
So I'm getting those and I'm putting them into an RRSP, a spousal RRSP. So I don't have to pay tax, but it's just building more of a nest egg for
sure.
moving. And yeah, so we're thinking, a year, maybe two. Yeah. So
Well, we're still going to be here, obviously, and we're still going to be here for you guys. And you got to excuse me, we got, hundreds of people a year now coming through. And first I thought, okay, yeah, I do know that guy.
Yeah, we really enjoyed our tour. It was great.
Yeah. So, guys, on our tour, once you've taken it, we're here for you, like one-on-one. Megan and I just did one this morning. We meet when you decide, hey, we're coming in 3 months or 4 months. We sit down with you on a Zoom like this. We start building a checklist for you. We this morning, this is why, again, here I'm just promoting the tours, but this is why we do it. We feel it's good investment. The people this morning in a 30-minute call, I saved them $1,000 on their airline getting here. I saved them $2,000 bringing their pet here. And just on our call this morning, and $900 on their phones for how they're going to live for the next month. That's how. So basically they were so excited because they said, our tour is paid for now. I said, yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. All righty. Well, it's great to see you guys and hear from you.
Yeah.
So please,
Yeah. Well, we'll
reach
stay in
out
touch. Yeah. We'll reach out as we get closer to making our move.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Thanks. Great to see you guys.
All righty. Good to see you.
Bye.
There we go. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we got Lauren. Lauren, I have asked you a couple times to promote you to panelists. You got to watch for the pop-ups on your screen and accept them. And John, you too. There is John. Come on, John. We will unmute John. Hey there, you're still muted, John. So take your mouse, you're in front of a laptop.
There
I
I am.
see. There we
Sorry
go.
about that.
Perfect. So where are you from, John?
Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Normally a great place, but Canada's, seems to be changing rapidly and is no longer the Canada that we knew growing up, possibly.
Well,
Um,
I can't think Nova Scotia has the best all year round weather either.
that too, yeah. Yeah. Listen, I really appreciate being on your webinar here, and a good friend of mine is actually going to Panama on your June tour. I just returned from Panama. I went for a quick visit to Petitsi, with a friend that has property there, and was very impressed. Really enjoyed the place and the people. I met numerous expats, none that said that they regretted moving there. All of them really liked it. I have maybe a bit of a controversial question. I did type it in, but I could ask straight up. In Canada, during the pandemic, they had mandatory masks and vaccines for a lot of people. And I've read a little bit about the situation in Panama, and I saw something to the effect that they allowed in some provinces, I guess, or counties, that the women would go shopping in the mornings and the men in the afternoon or something. And I'm just wondering just how restrictive it was, or was it obeyed at all or not? I'm a medical freedom kind of person, and that would be one of the reasons why I want to get away from the tyranny that we're under.
Mhm. Very good question, John. This comes up a lot. It was extremely restrictive for 5 months.
Right.
But then the government actually stood up, our president actually stood up and said, well, this ain't working. And we were the first country to reopen our borders to travel and tourism.
That's good news.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
All righty, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Somebody match, I'm gonna get to the chat questions.
Sure.
Or Megan, do you want to read the chat questions?
You mean the Q&A?
Yeah, Q&A, sorry.
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning. Heather says she's wondering about end-of-life scenarios, anything from reduced mobility to memory issues in the last days. In Canada, it's all about retirement homes, but Panama is about family looking after the seniors. What do expats do? Do they return to Canada? Are there facilities? Are there nurses to hire?
Yeah, great question. We have, like, as more and more expats have come to Panama, they're now reaching, like, this has been happening for 20 years. And so many of these people are reaching 80, and it's a market driven here. So there's a large one being built in Cherokee right now. There's one in Boquete. It's not large though. I think there's only like 8 rooms, but they always have availability because really the only people using them right now are the expats. They're very inexpensive. The one in Boquete for a single is 1,200. The one in closer on the road to Volcan, it is a little higher end, and it is, I gotta remember, 1,500, and for a single, and 2,000 for a couple room. So they have them in other places too. Like Panama City's got a really high end one, like a really classy high end one that some of the Panamanians use, and it's still only around $2,000 a month for full care. This is memory care, everything. So they are coming available. Now, I don't personally know anyone. Do you, Megan, that has a nurse living in their home?
No, I know people that have nurse care throughout the day, but not
Yeah.
living in their home.
Yeah, so you can get nurse care during the day, but just as you get older and you just need someone to clean, you might need someone to, some mobility issues. That person might not be a nurse, but you're probably looking at $700-800 a month, and they live with you and you feed them for someone qualified like that. A cleaner is not that much, but someone who could, help you out and stuff like that. Great question. Hey, guys, somebody asking about the prices. Our website is based in US dollar and Balboa, just like Panama. So we can bill you in Canadian dollars if you prefer, and just let us know, and that way you don't, you won't pay any exchange fees on your cards. Okay. What's
The
next?
the next question is really good. It's what are the benefits to becoming a non-resident of Canada once you have moved to Panama, and what is the process to do it?
Okay, I knew this one was going to be one of the number one questions that you all have. It ties in with some of the pre-questions I have. So I'm going to kind of do a 5-minute spiel on this because I think it's very important. I will not give financial and accounting advice to anyone. For those of you that have been on our tour, you have met with our Canadian CPA Panama accountant team that will walk you through this. But in general, the average retiree will not become a non-resident of Canada. And becoming a non-resident, Betty had a question for me on that too, is your choice. You become, it has nothing to do with how many days you live in Canada or not live in Canada. So becoming a non-resident is a process. Now, I know because I did it back in 2014 when I received my permanent residency here. It's a form to fill in that you send in with your last tax return that you have to prove you're a tax resident of another country and you don't have specific ties left to Canada. So you can't renew your driver's license. You have to have a canceled. I was in British Columbia where we paid monthly for medical. I had to show a cancellation of that. You can't have a home in Canada that you live in. So, and then what happens is you're no longer a tax resident of Panama, and you no longer have to file income taxes. Now, when you do get your pensions, like if you still earned your pensions, you still get them. And I'm still a Canadian citizen. I still have my Canadian passport. So, but I am a non-resident for tax purposes of Canada, so I no longer have to do a T4 every year. But when I do get my pension starting in 5 years, they're going to withhold 25%. And it's called a non-resident withholding tax. It's kind of unfair because Canada is supposed to be a taxation by residency country. So I'm giving that 25% back and not using the roads, not using any services. But in my theory was when I moved here, I worked online, so I made a good income from US and Canadian sources, and I didn't want to pay tax to Canada on that. So, and since I didn't live there anymore. So that was my choice. Most people who retire here on pensions don't need to do that. You'll find out your tax obligation is less than that 25% on your CPP and OAS. So you don't. All you do is you keep a Canadian bank and you keep filing your taxes every year and all is good. You maintain because you're not working here in Panama, so you can't get you can't become a tax citizen of Panama. So to file non-residency, you have to provide them. It's an actual document that shows you're registered to pay taxes here. Even though the sweet spot there is Panama doesn't charge income tax on money earned outside of Panama. So for those of you folks, I'm almost done. For those of you folks that are going to get pensions, but also have a lot of other investment money and stuff like that, that's where you need to sit down with some international tax advisors and figure out if your exit tax, the one-time exit tax, is going to be cheaper than paying income tax on that money for the rest of your life. And the 25%. If you're already in a high income tax bracket, your pensions are going to be taxed higher than 25% anyways. So there's a lot of tax residency in Canada is your choice. Number one, you decide whether or not, like you have to ask for it. You have to ask Canadian government, CRA, I don't want to be a tax resident anymore. And you have to prove why you don't. So it is a little process, and for me, I got accepted first time. I didn't own a house there. You can. I know people who have gone through it and still own a house, but they rent it out. So those are the questions. You guys can pop in questions in the Q&A if you have any other questions about that. And we will carry on with the. Do you think I answered everything in the question, Megan?
I think so. It looks like there are some follow-up
Yeah.
questions in the Q&A here.
No, maybe we'll just stick with the follow-ups for a couple of minutes just to make sure, so we don't break it up.
Yeah, so Celeste says, I want to make sure I understand. We do not have to become a non-resident of Canada, even if we live here full time. We really do not want to have to do it. We want to keep our residence to keep our RRSP and investments in Canada. The exit tax is ridiculously high. I was wondering if you had a CPA you could suggest here.
I cannot suggest who we use on this call. He doesn't allow me to do that because he provides free consultation, so I have to qualify all the leads. We do on our website. If you go through the contact information, I'm not going to ask you anything about your banking, how much money you have, stuff like that, but I might qualify the lead. I'm just typing our contact page into the chat. I see some people asking questions in the chat. Ask them in the Q&A, please, or we won't get to them. And then yes, we do have someone that can provide you some of those answers. And that's why I said you got to figure out is that exit tax. If you decide to take your investments, let's say for example you're in the stock market in a Canadian brokerage firm, and you want to move that to a US stock market, then file for non-residency. If you do everything in the right order with the right accountants, you can minimize your exit tax, and no longer are you paying withholdings on your taxes on your investments in Panama. But the RSPs are going to be subject to a withholding. But is that withholding, depending on where your income is the 25% withholding less or more than your federal and provincial tax rate? So that's what you got to consider. Any other tax situations?
There's a few more questions coming through. Dave says, if I'm a non-tax resident of Canada, how does that affect my RRSP and the RRSP withdrawals?
There can be withholding taxes on their day. So that's where you got to meet with an accountant to figure that out. Is the withholding tax going to be more than the actual income tax that you're going to pay on it when you do take it out? So that's what for every individual, the answer is kind of different for that one. So if you people are, if someone's just considering, I just want to know, I just got some questions. You got to go to the CRA website. You're gonna have to figure it out. But if you're decided I'm moving to Panama this year, next year, and I need a tax strategy set up, go fill out our contact information. Tell me a story about where you are and in your stages, and I can connect you with someone that we've used with all of our Canadian guests moving here.
A few people
Meet them.
A few people are asking about a 180-day rule. Is it mandatory to be in Canada for 6 months?
The only the 182-day rule is I guess this year it's 183. It was leap year, but no, the 182-day rule applies mostly to Canada healthcare. If you are outside of the country more than 182 days, you can lose your healthcare coverage. So that's why people who are who come here for the cold months only stay like 5.5 months. I will give you a tip though. Those of you guys that are leaving permanently, talk to every province is different. How you do this, you can get up to a 2-year extension on that 182 days if you tell them you're going to be doing some world traveling. Just don't tell them the whole story. Just in case you found out Panama wasn't for you and you moved back, then your healthcare coverage would still be there right away. For the people that leave, live in Canada 5 years, Panama for 5 years, move back to Canada, you're going to have to wait 6 months for your healthcare coverage. So we're going to show you how to get coverage here that actually covers you in Canada too. Of course, you're going to have to pay for it, and that's something a lot of people aren't used to in Canada. But still, the amount of money I saved living here could pay for my, compared to Vancouver, could pay for my healthcare 4 times what I pay now for healthcare. And I have no deductible, no copay. If I need a hip replacement, God, I'm not that old. If I need a hip replacement, I can get it done this month. So I really don't mind paying the money I pay into healthcare every month.
Dave asks, if I'm a non-tax resident of Canada, how does that affect, or no, sorry, this is Ken. Ken, if I don't have residency in Canada, do I use my Panamanian address for CRA purposes?
Most people know I still have a bank account in Canada. I have a Royal Bank. I had a HSBC, but now I have a Royal Bank account. That's where my pensions will be deposited. And I have a mail forwarding address in Canada that I no longer use it for the CRA, but I can use if I need a bank card sent to me, or like a new debit card comes out, you know, so I can have mail sent. And I had it originally because I had several aunts that used to send me $20 for Christmas. So I want to make sure I still got that. Sorry.
That's so sweet.
It's true.
I just want to make sure we get in, take all of the residency, non-residency
Yeah.
questions.
I want to wait one more answer for that. It has been 9 years since I've received mail from the CRA. Now, in my CRA account, I keep a current phone number, because if you're a non-resident, they could still request a they would message me through their through the CRA account. Of course, I still have that because I still have a social security number and passport, and my pensions will be monitored through there. So I just don't have to file taxes anymore.
Cindy asks, I'm self-employed with a travel agency and would like to learn how to do that in Panama and become a non-tax resident of Canada. Can I register my business there? Basically, how difficult is it to move and start up a business in Panama?
Well, you don't really need to register a business like that in Panama. I never registered a business when I moved here because all my clients were outside of Panama and I worked from my home. So it's not as if you need a business license to set up an office in your house and deal with, you know, foreigners. But if you want to sell travel agency services in Panama, that's a different story. Then you're going to need a work permit and a business license here. And you're going to have to pay tax on the income that you earn in Panama. So to set it up, like as long as, like if you work for a travel agency already in Canada, you'd have to check with them to see if they would be willing to pay you as a consultant as opposed to payroll. So, and you know, and then you would move to Panama and they would pay you directly, like take you off the payroll and pay you as a consultant, and you're looking after your own taxes. So you would, what has happened to other people that have done that I've helped, they provide the letter from the CRA stating that they are a non-resident of Canada, and you provide the translated letter from Panama saying that you're a Panama tax payer. Now you have to in your life be a taxpayer of one country, or you can't become a non-resident of another. So you have to actually get down here first and get your cedula so you can get your Pasi Selva, as they call it, which shows that you're a tax resident of Panama. But you don't have to file taxes in Panama unless you earn income from within Panama, from Panama sources. Panama needs some good travel agents, some more good travel agents. We have a couple, but people are always searching for them. It'd be a good little business to run here, I think.
For Abby, she's asking a resident versus non-resident is essential for her because it will affect qualification. Please hear I check so far. Says GIS loss will change the amount received to qualify for pensionado. Because only one of us is receiving a pension. It is not about healthcare, it is about guaranteed income supplement for a pension that will be cut for non-residents.
You cannot receive GIS if you live outside of Canada. So if you're planning to move here permanently, your GIS will be cut off as soon as they find out. And if you didn't tell them the truth, they will fine you and claw it back from your other pensions if you have. Unfortunately, only Canada pension and old age pension can be received if you live outside of Canada.
Could they do the residency process with that current amount? And then, I mean, Panama doesn't follow up on if your pension stays the same or not.
True, but I don't know if immigration knows that GIS isn't accepted. I know they know. We got different letters than the US has, guys. I know they know Canada Pension and OAS can be combined. And don't forget, you don't need $1,000 each if you're a married couple. You only need $1,250 if you're a married couple. Could be a follow-up coming on that one.
Yeah. A lot of people asking about that. Why don't you use your Panama address for CRA, Rob?
Okay. Panama does not have a internal door-to-door delivery post office. Nothing. They have a international post office that hasn't sent mail in the last 4 months. They've received some mail apparently, but you would have to. This is no word of a lie. The post office ladies write out the names of people. They scroll it out on a big piece of paper. They take a picture of it. They hand it to the next North American that walks in and tells them to post it on social media to tell these people that they have mail here.
Yeah, basically we don't have addresses.
Yeah, we don't have addresses and street signs here. I don't have a house number.
And you could use the postal service, but it's extremely inefficient.
Yeah, it's general delivery, Panama and the person's name. And there's a slight chance they might get it. I have mail forwarding with mailbox, etc. I use Miami now. I've actually I don't have anything going to my Canadian addresses because my aunt's unfortunately passed away. So no one sends me mail anymore. My brother doesn't mind mailing stuff to Florida. So I have a Florida address with mailbox, etc. And my banks accept it without any problem. And like I said, I'm a non-resident. So, but I know some people that added that address into the CRA too. Because the Canadian government's so used to people spending half a year in the States, it's not a big deal. Just say that's my main address, that's my mailing address. I haven't tried it to change my CRA mailing address to a US address, but just many mail forwarding companies available in I'm gonna ask Brian and Maureen, what's that mail forwarding company that you guys, I can't think of the name, we talked about it. I see you're on the call here, we just type it in the chat.
Diane says she's been receiving her work pension for a while, but not government pension. Will her work pension have a withholding tax?
Okay, if your work has nothing to do with the government, You can make arrangements with, if you become a non-resident, if you want to become a non-resident, you can make arrangements with your pension administrator to, you're gonna have to approve, you gotta approve you're a non-resident of Panama and a tax-paying resident of, sorry, non-resident of Canada and a tax-paying resident of Panama. So it won't happen immediately, but it should happen within a year.
People are also clarifying in the chat that the pensionado requirement is $1,250 US.
Exactly. So about what, 1,700. Okay, Brian and Maureen, they did a private tour with us a year ago, and we've been working with them as they plan for their permanent move here within the next year. They found a great place, and I checked them out with them. It's called Your Canadian Address, and they do mail forwarding and mail scanning for you. So you don't even have to get it forwarded. I think you check on their app and you say, I want this scan, just open this, scan it, throw it away, forward this to me, and you give them your Miami address to forward it to you. So if you need something physical. Yeah, your Canadian address. Okay. Oh, might as well. Let's see who's raising their hand. Did we talk to Lauren? Oh yeah, because you had your hand up. Anyone have any questions that want to raise your hand? We got a bunch more. We still have 49 questions in the chat. We're going to bring a couple people on live if you want to organize those questions a little bit. Megan?
Yeah.
Sue and Ian, I have just promoted you to panelist. You're going to get some pop-ups on your screen. Please accept them and come ask your question. There we go. Hey guys, well, nope, you were almost on there. It said connecting to audio. Hey guys, I can hear you. We can't see you yet, but we can hear you.
Video.
Hang on.
There we are. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you guys from?
Toronto, GTA
Toronto.
area.
Oh, wonderful. What's your question for us tonight?
Ian was just on your tour.
Your 3-day tour.
Ian, look at that. You look so. Why do you look so different? I know the smile now. We were just talking.
I don't know. I just I'm next to my wife, so I have to behave myself.
Well, yeah. Well, you didn't do that on the tour. Oh, sorry. No, okay. Like you told us you had this beautiful wife named Sue. None of us believe you, but she is.
Oh,
Nice
now
to
we're
meet
definitely coming to
you.
Panama.
Yeah.
No, we are planning on it. We're gonna sell the house and just go for it. Probably around September.
Great. Perfect.
We have to figure all that stuff out.
And you're working on that whole residency versus non-residency thing, and with yeah. And did you make contact with the guy I set you up with on Monday?
We have an appointment tomorrow.
Yeah. Perfect. Great.
Yeah. So
Cool.
Sue's already starting to sell stuff, get rid of stuff,
Everything.
and put the pressure on me to do the same thing.
Um,
But we're thinking about, like, maybe I have to come there to get a place before we bring the family.
yes. Mhm.
We have
That
3.
might be a good idea. If you all show up here and you have no place to live. You know, Oscar and Megan's got a big house. You can stay with them.
I saw it. I saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I know. That is
But they're
excellent.
okay with
We'll
that.
just put a bunch of bunk beds in one room for the kids and just
Yeah.
throw them in there.
Perfect. They'll love that.
Yeah.
The other question is, like, we probably have to get a car sooner than later as well. Get that stuff
Yeah.
all figured out too.
But like we say, like we tell all you guys on the tour guests, Oscar's the guy for that. For you know, it's just crazy because he buys all the cars from Panama City where they're cheaper than because there's so many of them. Panama City is half the population of the country, folks. And Oscar helps people buy cars. He gets them to the mechanics. He makes sure there's nothing wrong. He verifies the title that it's not stolen or imported or all that stuff. So he can help you out. Just reach out to him.
I need something big. I got 3 kids.
Well, yeah, you're gonna need you should get a 7-passenger. You might want to get a dog.
Yeah. There's lots of dogs running around, so I could just probably get one.
Yeah.
He's promised our daughter a horse, so.
Okay.
Lots of those too. We just had a big horse parade the other day in Boquete.
I read that. I've joined like 25 different Facebook groups.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been every day I just read the feeds on them, and there's so much information there, just like really practical day-to-day stuff, and just kind of helps to visualize what life is going to look like. So it's great.
Yeah,
That's
and then
what
once
you-
you're here, you'll get into all of the family WhatsApp groups too.
I wanted to ask you that, like, how do you find in Boquete the community for children, like especially English speaking? My kids don't speak Spanish at all. What would that
Yeah.
be like for them, do you think?
Tons of young foreign families, and they all mix with the Panamanians, with people from all over the world. It's not just Canadians or US. And if they get involved in the school, that process will be even quicker because there's so much to do with the school events and activities and extracurriculars. But even there's a ton of homeschooling kids that there's so many different groups that you can get them involved in. And even if they're not in the school, they can still be involved in the activities at the school.
Okay.
And a lot of English speaking kids.
Yeah, I don't know. My kids' social world is kind of a top priority. Like that's going to sort of make it or break it, I think. Like Ian and I can
Talk to each other.
or not.
We'll find them things to do. I need my car washed twice a week, so I'm kidding, you know that. Guys, I just want to tell you, and now I'm talking to everyone. Ian was on our Cherokee Highlands tour 3
First.
weeks ago, wasn't it? Yeah. And I didn't recognize him right away. That was kind of weird. But not only did he take the tour after they have 2 kids, so we don't just deal with
3.
retired folks. 3, that's right. And Oscar got him an appointment with the administrators at the Academy International Boquete, which is a international private school. And and we've been working with him on just what I told you guys. They're on our tour, so he has a meeting tomorrow with one of the advisors that we use for Canadians moving to Panama. So they're getting all their ducks in a row, and
We'll see. We're trying to figure out. I really like Boquete and I really like Volcan, and I just figure that out. So I guess we'll rent for a while and then see where we end up.
yeah, let's let Sue decide. Come down here, spend a month or 2 in both.
And the girls.
Kids will probably be deciding, won't they?
Yeah.
No, actually, I also really like Cerro Punta.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But I want to
It's
thank you guys.
beautiful, just less going on.
Right on.
More
Okay.
horses, though.
Thanks for popping on, you guys. We're here for you. Any questions you have, if you want to do another Zoom with us, anytime.
Okay, that would be great.
Thanks.
All righty. Talk
Yeah.
later, guys. Okay. Do you have a question from a shade, Megan? SHADE.
Yes, here in the chat, it's what is the residency criteria for other nationalities aside from Americans and Canadians? I'm Canadian, but would like to have family around when I retire. So I guess that would be, like bringing, and once you get residency, how do you bring family here? Let me see if there's a follow-up from her about that.
Yeah, as you're looking, the residency requirements are the same for everyone. It's not Canadian specific. This call is about the unique things. Canada has free healthcare. That doesn't happen here. Canada has different tax laws than the US. can't, you know, there's many different things like that. Go. What are you thinking? Do you know, can you figure out the question?
Yeah, we might need some follow-up on that. I mean, there's lots of residency options for, you know, all different types of foreigners, but I'm not sure exactly who she's asking for.
Yeah. Okay, well, you can ask again, if you want to clarify your question in the Q&A part, Shade, please. No questions in the chat, folks, and definitely no answers in the chat. Just deleting them. Okay, what's up next?
Should we go back to the beginning of the Q&A?
Let's go back to the
Okay.
beginning.
From Lorne, what is the best way to transfer money, specifically our pensions from Canada?
Okay, there's the big one, guy. Well, the second big one. The big one was residency. Keep your Canadian bank and use either Wise. I'm typing in the chat, guys, if you want to save these links. Or OFX. Okay. OFX used to be Canada Transfer Exchange. So what they are bank accounts, and as a Canadian, you set up a Canadian and a US bank account. You move money. I just did it today. I did it. I don't know if Michael is on here, but I did it from my new Royal Bank account because I've had HSBC for a year and Royal Bank bought them out. So I did a email money transfer to my Wise Canadian account. There's no cost. Okay. So $5,000 was sent from my Royal Bank, $5,000 Canadian arrived in my Wise Canadian account. I use Wise to do the currency conversion at 1% over the Bank of Canada rate. Now, Royal Bank wanted to charge me 2 points over, like 3 points in total. So I saved $100 there in the currency conversion for what the Royal Bank wanted to do it for and for what Wise did it for. And then I moved the money from Wise to my Panama bank through a wire transfer, which cost $12. From the Royal Bank, it would have been $65. And I'll receive it tomorrow in Panama for $32.50. So for under $50, I moved $5,000. So typically that's how you do it. Now the same thing, you can move money through using email money transfer through Interact or through bill pay. OFX is kind of sleek too. You only have to log into OFX once because I've connected my Canadian bank to OFX and connected it through bill pay. So I say OFX, take $8,000 out of my Canadian account and send it to Panama. So OFX that day will take the money out and transfer it. They receive 8,000 because there's no fees on bill pay or email money transfer. And OFX charges no fees to wire, but they charge 1.25% over the going bank rate, which is so much cheaper than banks charge to exchange the money to US before they send it to me for free in Panama. But they use a third-party bank, so it costs $20 more to arrive. So both methods cost about the same. It cost me around $50 to receive a wire transfer. Now, you can go directly from your Canadian bank to your Panama bank, but you're going to be over $100 for that transfer. So that's why I advise setting up a Wise account or OFX or both. Now, if you're going to move big amounts of money, like you can't set up a Wise or OFX account and move $400,000 to buy a house the same day. They're not going to accept that transfer. You're going to have to open an account, do a test of send a bit of money here to your Panama bank. And then when you are going to buy a house, you need to let them know. You got to open a support ticket and tell them, okay, I bought a house. Here's a copy of my purchase contract from Panama. And I'm going to be wiring the money from my Canadian bank to my Panama bank. You also let the Panama bank know what you're doing, and it'll all happen quickly. If you don't, you can't send anything over $10,000 without the banks reporting it to the global money laundering watching people, which are the USA. So anything over $10,000, they're going to want to know where the money came from and what it's for. And it's not really a big issue, but because if you bought a house, or let's say you're buying a car, let's say Oscar's out shopping for your car, and it's $30,000. You bought you a really nice one, and so you're going to ask Oscar to get a pro forma invoice, so you can wire the money to your account here, so you can pay for the car. And then you email your bank manager and say, "Hey, I got a $30,000 wire coming. This is what it's for." Megan, we lost you. You're muted.
We
Mute.
also have quite a few questions about opening a bank account, how it's done, what bank do we recommend? Do they have English speaking customer service? And can it be done remotely, or do you need to be here in person?
Okay, great question. Now, you're going to find sorry, I'm going to start here. The governor of banking would be like the chairman of the Fed in the US, or I don't know what we even have the head of the Canadian Bank of Canada. The governor of banking in Panama issued a decree in January 2011 requiring banks to only open account for residents of Panama or those in the process of residency, and they must be here in person. Now, if a lawyer tells you I can open a bank account for you without you being here, I just tell people stay away. Like walk away. You don't need it. You don't need a bank account here until you get here. Like like don't go against the governor of banking, or your money could get frozen up there. Like that's all I'm going to tell you. So yes, you need to be here. The process can take up to a week. And some people will tell you, oh, you can go to this bank. They'll open an account for you the same day with hardly any paperwork, and you'll hate them the rest of your life. So why bother? There's one particular bank. I can't mention their name online, guys, but I'm going to certainly tell you who we recommend. But there's one bank you hear all the time. They can just go on social media for bad information. You'll find it there. They open an account with us, and the same day, all I had to provide is a passport and something else. And a year from there, people are messaging, "Oh my God, my money's been held up for 3 days. They closed my account. They have no customer service whatsoever." So don't look for the easy way. We like two banks we both dealt with 10 years, 12 years, 14 years, Oscar, I think. Multi-bank and Banco General. It's pronounced Banco General. They have basically the same requirements. They need to see a proof of income, whether that's 2 years of your tax returns, just the first pages, not the details. Your pension letters work as that. A letter from your lawyer saying that you're in the process of residency. That you're going to be living somewhere. So it can be a lease, rental. Sometimes a lawyer can even help you provide something there if you don't have anything and you need a bank account right away. If you bought a house, you can show them that. And a cash deposit of $1,500, and you have a bank account within a week. It's as simple as that. And these banks are in every major or minor place across the country. Multi-bank especially has both English online banking and not using Google Translate, really English online banking. And in the expat centers, all their staff speak English. Now that's like the Cornetto one and the Boquete one downtown Villa España. They virtually all speak English. So Banco General don't have English banking. But they are the biggest bank in Panama by volume. They're both pretty safe. And as far as banks go. And so yeah, that's a multi-bank and Banco General.
I realized we had a little bit of confusion on the mail forwarding service. a lot of people were asking how does a Miami address get me my mail?
You want to explain that, Megan?
Yeah, so all of your mail will go first to the Miami address, and mailboxes, etc., is one of the biggest ones. They have offices all over Panama and a lot of other countries for that matter. But they have their port, I guess, in Miami, where they will receive your packages. So, for example, if you use Amazon and you have next day delivery, so I order something on my phone today, next day it's at my Miami address. From there, it will arrive to my mailboxes, etc. office here in Boquete in 3 to 5 business days. That's with air freight. And I will pay on the weight of the package. So around $5 a pound, I think it is. There's different plans and packages that you can get to get a little bit better rate. Or if you're shipping something really big or really heavy, there's also sea freight options where you can get a little bit better rate as well. And it's a really quick way to get really anything you want, letter mail as well. But you wouldn't want to just forward all of your mail to that address because you don't want to be paying just to get junk mail. So really try and go as paperless as possible and just use that address for the most essential things. We also had a lot of people asking about our tours. If they're planning on moving 4 years from now, would it be a good idea to do it now? It says, how extensive would the 7-day tour be to help us make this monumental decision? What is the cost? What do we see? Do you want to give a little overview?
Sure. Like the first couple that came on the screen that I didn't recognize, we haven't seen them in a long time, and they're probably not moving for 2 years. So it's never too early. Replace it with your normal vacation and you'll have a blast. Tack a few days before and a few days after to see some extra stuff or maybe have some beach time, and you will see in 7 days virtually every location that an expat would want to move to, retire in, start a business in, everywhere. Like people come and try to do this on their own, but in 7 days, we've been doing this for years. We know the best hotels. We know the best restaurants. We know you're not going to have a bad experience anywhere. And you're going to meet other expats that live in all these areas. So your contact base will already be set up. So you can continue chatting with them until you finally move here. You're going to meet with lawyers. You're going to meet with insurance experts. You're going to meet with logistics people. We're going to go into detail about banking and stuff like that. And we're going to give you tons of material with contact information from people all over this country. And and the people who haven't moved here yet that want to be kept on our list get on us, we'll be updated. When things change, we update them and let them know. And it doesn't matter whether you're moving here in a month after the tour or 5 years. We still do our private Zooms with you when you're ready to move at no additional cost. That's all included. We answer all your questions, build your checklist, assist you with virtually everything you need. So that's our 7-day tour. Then we also have a new product which we just started this year. It's been very popular. We just had a March one and the June one's almost sold out. It's a 3-day Cherokee Highlands tour. For those of you that aren't really interested in the beach, because it's 95 degrees every day on the beach, you're interested in the cooler mountain climates, and that's all of Cherokee province. So we take you on 3 days instead. But we have the afternoon where we meet the lawyers, meet the immigration people, we meet expats in all these locations. We do everything we do on a 7-day tour, just 3 days. And of course, it's less than half the cost. Oh, our 7-day tours for a single, it's $24.50. And for a couple, it's $39.50. On the 3-day tour, for a single, it's $9.95 and it's $15.95 for a couple. And those are all inclusive. except the Cherokee Highlands tour is a little different. It only includes one of your dinners, but you're in a hotel, you're on a restaurant row basically. So, but they're basically all inclusive, except for your international airfare here. So that is what we do. And the private customizable tour, you might have heard online, there's people doing private tours. I've seen some of their guides. They've been living in Panama for 6 months and now they're doing private tours. No, our private tours are exclusively run by me, Megan, and Oscar. We just had a couple in here on the weekend between Bocas and the Espuero Peninsula, and we all went out for dinner, had a great time on Saturday and hung out. And so our private tours are for higher net worth individuals or people that require privacy, people that are looking for plan Bs, people with family that might want to meet with different schools across the country, young people who want to start a business, who have the means and the money to come here on a friendly nations visa, invest the money, maybe they want to start a business. That's what we're on this week, a private couple in their 30s from California. So that is what we do.
Okay.
Brian Moore, private tour with us. They just said in the chat back in October.
Shamim wants to know what is the investment requirement to become a resident in Panama. She heard that the amount is doubling soon.
Okay, some of that information is not true. That's probably not a visa you would go for. If you're receiving a pension of $1,000 or more a month, US, for a single, $1,250 for a couple, your total investment will be under $3,000. That's for lawyers' fees, immigration fees, like everything. If you do not have a pension yet, the Friendly Nations visa for Canada and the US and 48 other nations, the investment requirement is $200,000 either in real estate or a bank certified deposit. It's going to be a 3-year term, which are currently paying 5%, so it's not bad. Now, the visa you're referring to would be the qualified investors visa. It's a totally different visa. It requires a $300,000 real estate investment or a 500,000 stock market investment. And that one is going up on October 15th to a $500,000 real estate or $750 market investment. Now that is for the holy rollers, obviously. The only benefit of the qualified investors visa over the Friendly Nations visa is that you get permanent residency in 30 days and don't even have to be here. So it's basically for investors that like you don't have to live here, you don't like nothing. Where the Friendly Nations visa takes 2 years to get your permanent residency. You can live here during those 2 years because you have temporary residency.
Jeff asks, are there any restrictions on owning or buying property? Also, can we run a business such as an Airbnb?
There's no restrictions for a foreigner owning or buying a property unless you're within 15 miles of the Costa Rican border on the beach. I know it's a silly old law that's still in place, but no, as a foreigner, you can buy property before you get your residency here. But there's no other restrictions on buying property. If you want to buy an Airbnb and run an Airbnb, if you want to actually run it yourself, you're going to want to come in on a Friendly Nations visa, spend the $200,000 in real estate, and get a work visa. Because you cannot in Panama do the job of a Panamanian without a work visa. So that basically means if you were running the Airbnb, like accepting guests, cleaning the rooms, managing it. So the only thing an owner can do that doesn't have a work visa is the accounting, financing, like the books, stuff like that. But if you actually physically working in the business, you want but the good thing is the Friendly Nations visa you can get a work visa with it.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the top of the Q&A and work my way down. Avril asks, do you have any recommendations for companies to help move household stuff to Panama?
Yes, we do. I really like a company called International Relocation Partner. If you want to email us, I'll connect you directly to them. Great guys. They've done a few moves for us out of Canada. That's why I like them, like several. So just fill out this form. I just put it in the chat. Explain to me what you want. And if I connect you, they will connect and Zoom with you for 30 minutes for free and analyze your whole situation. And then provide you the quotes once they know. Now, moving household goods, what are we going to say about that? We got people that do it, people that don't. Some people just sell everything off and move down here with a few boxes and suitcases. Because from Canada, you guys know where you live, right? Right? It's very, you might as well say, like some of you guys that are landlocked, it's very expensive because you got to get across to a port and so it can be very expensive. You could spend 30 grand shipping a 40-foot container from Canada. So you really got to analyze and is it a good idea to bring everything or should I sell it off and start over? And a lot of stuff you buy here, even real estate, when you're buying, is already furnished. And I've seen that so many times. Our containers arrived and now we're having our yard sale. Much cheaper to have the yard sale at home, guys. Because and the worst thing is the people that ship their appliances from Canada, and you got a 48-inch fridge and 36-inch range, and they don't fit in any kitchen made in Panama. So just some tips there.
From Darlene, are there any areas where there are more French Canadians? I know Playa Rompio has a small French Canadian community that they come down for the winters. A lot of the beaches, there's just a ton of Canadians that come down, especially during the winter.
Yeah, the beach, like for the part-time people, obviously, from Chamay all the way down to Petitcie, that's where they hang out. And they come down for their 5 months every year. They're flying on their what do you call it? Into Rio Hato on Air Transat, stuff like that. So you got an airport right in the middle of those areas, so it's great for the Canadians.
David asks, do your RRSP investments in Sun Life, for instance, count towards your pension for the Pensionado visa?
Absolutely not. Sorry. The Pensionado visa has to be a government pension is the easiest. If it's a private pension, government pension and then public sector pensions are really easy. Teacher's pension, fireman's pension, police, like immigration understands that. If it's a private sector pension, let's say you work for IBM Canada and for 30 years and you have a pension, that's good. What has to accompany the pension is that this payment is for life. It has to be a notarized statement by the administrator of that pension. The only one that doesn't require that fully is the Canada Pension and OAS because they know it's for life here. But any private or public sector pension, so you could have $10 million in the bank and earning $500,000 interest a year, you don't qualify for a pensionado visa. Because Panama wants your money. They want some of that money, and they would rather have you put $200,000 in a CD than granting you a pensionado visa.
I just wanted to mention to Abby, she was the one worried about having the requirement for the pension with once GIS is removed. She said local lawyers are insisting on considering the present amount, but I want to know this won't be reviewed. And I'm pretty sure they do just look at the present amount, but we can definitely connect her with our lawyers and they
Yeah,
can
I think
talk.
you're right, Megan. Your pensionable status never goes into review unless possibly if you murdered somebody, went on trial here and got convicted. Okay, they're gonna extradite you anyways. So once you qualify and you have a permanent visa in your hand, you have that visa for life. It doesn't expire ever. And there's no, because it's like, let's look at the Canadian dollar. Let's say the Canadian dollar at 138, am I right, guys? Like I haven't looked at it in about a week. Let's say it goes to 165 and oh my God. And you people that just squeaked in with 1250, it's now 950. They're not gonna take it away. Because they have no idea. It's not ever reviewed. So if a lawyer thinks they can get you in with GIS, that's my concern, because immigration's gonna look at that because they don't see that one very often. And they're gonna say, what is this? And if someone does their research, they'll know that, they might find out. So I would, be concerned a little bit.
Okay, from Cindy, if we come there for a week tour, you do offer for us to sit down with a CPA to go over this stuff.
Well, that would all depend on if you'd have to come early or stay later if he was in town. He moves back and forth between the Rio Hato area and Vancouver, Canada. So, but definitely, yeah. But if you're on the tour, you automatically get a 30 minute or an hour free consult with him. So, which is usually done by Zoom because the guy works from home on a beach. He doesn't want to leave. No, just kidding. The company, he works for a large company in Panama City that are international tax advisors. They have accountants from virtually every country in the world, and he's one of the Canadians. And he's in Canada right now because he's managing all of that through his office. He also does most of the for people who don't file non-residency. He handles Canadian taxes for people too.
Phil asks, I'm 2 to 4 years away from relocating. Are there any changes being contemplated or discussed about eligibility requirements, such as required amounts, taxation on expats, importation rules, etc.?
That's a great question. The pensionable visa has been around for 20 years, never changed, and I don't think they have any intention of changing it. No one has that feeling. Like lawyers, we know what's up. That's going to be around forever. Whether it will go from 1,000 to 1,200, I don't know. That's a possibility, I guess. The friendly nation. We have an election in 3 weeks, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very
and
soon.
the new government will take over in July 1st. And there's a lot of rumblings I had an hour conversation with our lawyer today, our immigration lawyer, about what's going to happen depending on which guy gets in. And now it's going to be one of three of them, probably two. They moved from a friendly nations visa, which you could get with snapping your fingers in $5,000. It was so easy. It's what I came here on. It was the easiest visa in the world. But they got in trouble with it because a ton of people came here and weren't productive and couldn't support themselves. So then they went to the extreme and now they want $200,000. So is there going to be a change there? Possibly. Will it be immediate? Don't know. Now,
They want foreigners that are going to come here and spend their money, spend their pension, invest, create job opportunities, not take job opportunities from Panamanians.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Now, will there be a change to Panama's tax status? No, probably not. It's been 121 years. 121 years, 1903. That Panama was founded as a territorial tax system. Panama has one of the largest duty-free zones in the world, next to Hong Kong and Macau, and one over in Egypt area. And there would be no reason. Right now, Panama has 95 international banks, head office, towers in downtown Panama City because of its territorial tax system. So no, Panama is not going to start taxing your pensions like Portugal just started, by the way, because Portugal has never been a territorial tax system, but they just added the new law, and now now they want 10% of all their foreigners' pensions. But Panama would never do that because that would just kill their economy, because our GDP is 40% service sector. And the whole canal thing is based around, we can't tax foreign income. Like, it just won't work. So it's the same taxation system Hong Kong has. And I believe it's here to stay. Of course, that's my opinion. Mhm.
Jim asks, what has the attitude been by locals towards expats in Panama since the protests ended? Has there been any residual animosity towards expats, given it was a North American mining company?
We haven't seen any personally, and I believe it was a Canadian mining company, but I really believe most Panamanians have been educated by now to realize that the company had 24 Canadian employees and has never paid $1 of taxation to Panama. So it's not really a Canadian company. And, there may have been some people up in the Nobi at the time that were mad at Canadians, but there's never, like, Panama is so used to having North Americans around here. Because growing up, for the last 100 years with the canal, there's always been a huge presence of North Americans in Panama. So it's really nothing new to them.
Yeah, Jim also asks, you mentioned insurance you pay for in Panama and abroad. Can you give an approximate cost per month or year for the insurance?
Sure. I have quotes for when I'm 60. I'm not 60 yet. Not for a long time, right, Megan? So I have quotes because I was deciding on what insurance company. So when I'm 60, I'm going to say the average on this call is probably 60 right now. I'm going to be paying $249 a month for 100% coverage in Central America and Colombia. They just like to add Colombia. No deductible, no copay. And I have a $10,000 deductible around the world. So when I do travel, I buy gap insurance to cover that $10,000, which is like $60 a week. So that's what I pay. It's at the best private hospitals in Panama. I do not have to take my wallet out of my pocket except to show my card.
Should we end the call with happy birthday
No,
to
we're not going to do that. It's not my birthday yet, and I'm not turning 60 ever.
David asks, how do you renew your passport as a non-resident? It's the same process. No?
Yeah, same process. I'm doing mine next year. And Canadian Embassy in Panama City. Very friendly, very helpful people there. You just give it to them, leave it with them to take a nice color. Well, you don't really need it when you're here, as long as you're not traveling. Mhm.
Oh, we had a few questions about Scotiabank. Do you want to
Okay.
give them the bad news?
Yeah. First, the simple action. There are some U.S. folks on here too. There are no Canadian banks or U.S. banks doing business at a retail level in Panama whatsoever. No matter what you see on the side of the building, you'll see the Bank of America Tower downtown Panama City. You'll see the Citibank logo, and you'll see Scotia Bank with branches. It's only licensed folks. It isn't. When I came here, and it's like, I'm certainly not ridiculing you asking. When I came here, I had Scotiabank. Remember, I knew nothing. I had Scotiabank in Canada. When I came here, I had all this extra Canadian money. I walked into the Scotiabank in Boquete. I was just out in Alta Boquete. I said, "Oh yeah, can I just put this back in my account?" And the employees gathered around. They had never seen Canadian money, so. So it's not a oh, quit talking about the 60. I'm not 60. So yeah, no, Scotiabank doesn't operate on a retail level here for Canadians. So like I will tell you guys, the banking system here is totally different. It is, I'm gonna say, as secure as Canada. You guys remember the financial crisis in 2008 to 2010, where the US had 860 banks collapse and Canada had none. And Panama never even flinched. We never even used our $2 billion fund to, in case of a collapse. Panama still has no deposit insurance. Because people don't lose money. That's why, the only reason why Canada has deposit insurance, because of the 1932 collapse of the Big Canada Bank and then the permanent trust scandal in the 70s. So yeah, we have deposits, but they just don't have it. So I had somebody in the chat, I don't know if she put that in the Q&A because we're getting close to ending here, but talk about bringing all our money down to Panama. I wouldn't do that personally. I have banks in Canada, US, and Panama. I would never keep all my money in one location. Anything can happen because something could flag you that, oh my God, you're money laundering, and they could lock your account up. And then if all your money is in one place, you just don't want to do that. So I
We
actually
had
have,
two.
go ahead,
Yeah.
Megan.
I was just gonna move on to the next question if you're finished.
Yeah.
Two people asking about how to bring pets from Canada, and also another big question is about cell phones, how to keep your Canadian number, what's the best provider here?
Okay. First of all, pets, it's a gong show right now in Canada, guys, I'll tell you. The only one moving pets right now is Pets and Cargo is into Rio Hato Air Transat, but they stopped flying shortly. Copa has a moratorium. Copa out of Toronto has been flying Pets and Cargo for years. Right now, there's a moratorium that they're not taking Pets and Cargo, and we don't know why, and they won't answer. Pets in cabin, very easy as long as they're under 20 pounds or it's really weird. I don't know who didn't do the math because their website actually says under 10 kilo or 20 pounds. Well, that's 22.2 pounds. It makes a difference. But yeah, so you can take them in the cabin, but they also, the only direct flights is Copa. You need to fly direct to Panama with your pet, or you're going to have to go through 2 stages of paperwork, one here and one in the US. The US has a new law that if you bring your pet across the border and then you try to fly it out, immediately the pet has to be seen by a USDA vet. They used to have a 30-day window there. So right now, by the end of April, there's going to be no option to ship your pet out of Canada in cargo. So it's going to have to be done out of the States. And I have done it before. And we also assist in pet relocation. I think we got the best price. We charge $350 for pets and cargo, and we advise you and help you fill out all the paperwork and get everything in order, and finding, getting your vet appointment, getting the approval with the CFIA, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, getting the consulate to authenticate it. You can't use a what do you call it? Not notary.
Apostle.
Yeah, you can't use an apostle for this yet out of Canada. Even though they have apostle, they still want the Canadian Vancouver or Toronto consulate to authenticate it. And then you got to drive into the States, and we have some fixers lined up that can get the USDA certificate done in a day or two. Okay, and that was pets. What was the other one?
Cell phone. Using
Cell
your
phone.
Canada phone number and the verification.
Have you guys ever gotten an email from us on our info line? You'll see a Canadian cell phone number, area code 306. That is me. Let me give you guys a secret here. There we go. Okay, this here is my Fongo app, Fongo app. Now, Fongo actually allows, why didn't you, I tell people, why not keep your number? Now, most numbers in Canada are portable to Fongo. Not all, but most. So if you log in, Fongo's free to sign up and set up. They'll give you a number immediately. But if you want to port, let's say a couple of weeks before you move here, you want to bring your cell phone number with, let's say, TELUS or whoever you got over to Fongo, you can typically do that, and then you can cancel your Canadian cell phone plan. And Fongo, I recommend getting just the regular plan with the texting add-on, which is $18 a year. So your cell phone bill will go from whatever you're paying TELUS to $18 a year. And all the people I have on in Canada, and even me, I'm receiving my Royal Bank's one-time passwords on my Fongo line. So that is my one of our good friends on the Q&A here. They're having a problem porting their number. So I told them, well, maybe you guys, Brian, yeah. So maybe you guys might have to change your number actually. They're moving here for another 6 months. Find a number that's portable. Because if you just get a new number from Fongo, that might not work with your one-time passwords. Because their systems can detect what's called a voice over IP number over a national carrier's number. So porting your number over is the best thing to do. All porting means if you're on TELUS and you're going to switch to Vital, you're allowed to move your number over. That's what porting is. But Fongo, which is just an app, it's not a SIM card, it's an app. And it works on Wi-Fi or data. So right now I have a Fongo line. I have a from the US, I have a US number on Google Voice, and I have my Panama number with a 10 gig data plan and free roaming in North America for up to 6 months. And I pay $24 a month for all those numbers. And I am the tech guy. Our people that are on our tour, I actually sit down with them and set this up for them. That's the couple I met with today. Like I sat with them on the phone. We went through everything they had, and I saved them $900 a year on what they were planning on doing with their phone lines. So book a tour. What else can we say, Megan? Do we have any big questions left? I know we're going to have more questions. You guys were such a great group here. It's nice to see 100 of you show up. But we'll send this out to for those of you that didn't show up on time or didn't show up and are watching us now, yes, we're sending the replay out tomorrow. If you want to share this with friends, folks, feel free when we send out the email tomorrow with the replay just to forward it to them.
We hit a lot of major points. I think we got to a lot of questions.
It is. And guys, like, feel free to reach out. Like I say, I know you're going to get the full package if you come with us, but just random one thing at a time. I have had some people in the past email me every day on a new topic and expect, okay, this is the 15th email. Like, if you have this many questions, you need it to. Okay. And don't go on the big social media groups. My new saying of the year is the big social media groups have a lot of answers, but they don't have a lot of wisdom. There's just bad answers. You can go on, use them for, what are the activities in town? What are the best restaurants? Once you move here,
Connecting with people,
don't ever,
connecting with local expats, what's going on.
yeah, don't ever use them for who's the best lawyer or how much withholding tax am I going to have to pay on that? These people are not experts, and I'm not even going to answer that one, but we'll send you to the right place. Oscar, Megan, and I are not going to give you a wrong answer. Our reputation depends on it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we help so many people move here regularly, so we have up-to-date answers on things.
Yeah, we have the right answers because we keep doing this. All right. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. And you all have a good Canadian night.
That's right.
If any
Hope
of
to
you
see some more Canadians on our tours.
Most
They're
of you,
always the nicest.
yes. It's really funny, guys. Our tours, Canada's 10% of the US population. We've had up to 50% Canadian on our tours. That's when I wear my Canada toque. I didn't put on my toque tonight, Megan. There.
It has been a little chilly here,
It has been. I could have used that earlier.
like 60s.
Do you guys remember the 2010 Olympics? That's where this one's from. Yeah. And I wore it that winter. All right, guys. Have a great night.
Good night,
And-
everyone. Thanks for joining.